Welcome back to episode 9 of Midnight Movie Reviews. So, this week we watched the most amazing film ever, like hands down. People say it's the best thing ever that's ever come to cinema. I would believe them. And we watched the, Passion of the Christ by Mel Gibson. And so this week we actually have a pretty special guest. I got some blood on this one. I got my family. It's my cousin Mark. He's been involved in many productions. He knows his way around the biz. He's been there. He's done that. So, why don't you just tell me, what's your connection with the film industry? What do you like about film? What's your favorite types of movies, stuff like that?
Well, I am a professional actor on film and TV. I have been recently on Law and Order SVU, The Blacklist, and Madam Secretary. And before that, I was in theater school. I did a lot of theater training in between theater school. I was in a handful of professional theater productions. Spent the last 7 years out in New York City.
Very nice.
I'm still there on the East Coast. And business is a little slow right now, just with all of the stuff happening in the world. But hopefully it's getting back slowly and surely. Think the ball's kind of rolling on that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I get to do really cool podcasts like this.
Talking about Jesus.
Talking about Jesus today.
Yeah.
How often do you get to say that? Talking about Jesus with the boys.
Well,
Yeah.
we did
Pretty
do it
great.
a couple of weeks ago with another arguably greatest film ever created, Elf.
Elf?
No, it's awful.
Oh yeah.
Pretty
I've never
powerful film there.
You've never seen
Yeah.
Elf?
I've never sat down and watched Elf.
Good, you don't need to.
Okay. All right.
So,
All right. Will
okay,
Ferrell,
but
sorry.
but so about movies that you like. So I mean, obviously, I know you're a person. Okay, if I put the sequels of
Yes.
Star Wars down in front of you, what's gonna be your
Absolutely
gut?
not. And honestly, at this point, I don't know if Disney will hire me or not, but it's just the sequels for me. I'm a devout Star Wars fan. I'm not a nerd, but I don't know. It's just the sequels to me kind of deviated from the mythology that the prequels and the original 3 films set up, and I felt like we were eating really nice dessert after a really nice meal at a restaurant, and then the waiter came while you were eating the dessert and took the cake and lifted it up to your face, and you're like, what's going on? And you're like, I want to keep like eating my dessert. Waiter's like, no, just keep feeling this cake smushed all over your face. Like, that to me is what the Disney Star Wars sequels were like. So I appreciate
but he also spit in your drink and force it down your throat.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course.
Definitely. And kind of awkwardly poured cold water on your lap, at the restaurant. Like, you ever had something spill on your pants?
He just tries to
it's so annoying, right?
He's really trying to get the water stain out of it.
No, but you know what I mean when you spill something at the restaurant and then you have to get a rag out to
It's so hard to get out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, he stands up and yells, "Hey, he pissed his pants."
Yeah. Everyone's like, this loser.
Yeah.
And you get laughed at the restaurant, and then you have to run out and go in the car and cry a bit. I don't know.
It happens to everyone. I know, every single person I know that's happened to them. So,
piss their pants.
Okay. Well, now that we got to know our guest, Adam, do your thing and take it away with the questions.
Yeah.
Wait,
so
you forgot the summary again.
No, I didn't.
Summary. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
summary.
Yeah,
Summarize the movie.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna summarize the Passion of the
Good thing I
Christ.
haven't gotten the question list, so we don't forget.
Yeah, I'm gonna literally summarize the entire Bible in 3 sentences, I think.
Do it.
So, as you know, the Passion of the Christ focuses on the last 12 hours of Jesus' life. So we know the film begins in the Garden of Gethsemane,
Nice.
where Jesus has gone to pray after, attending the Last Supper, right? So Jesus has to resist the temptations of the devil, as we can see with this strange-looking bald character, right, guys? Then Jesus gets betrayed by Judas, and then Jesus is then arrested and taken inside Jerusalem, where the Jewish people, mostly, the leaders with the weird hats and the weird costumes, they accuse him of blasphemy, and then he's condemned to his crucifixion, which gets very visually stunning, I will say.
Yeah.
Stunning, yes.
Maybe that's not the right word.
Saucy.
It gets saucy.
Saucy.
Sure. Yeah,
That's a good word.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Adam, do your thing.
Yes, so everyone give a general opinion of the movie. I think I'd like Luke to go first on this one because he has a very strong opinion that I'd love to hear.
I honestly really did not care for this movie at all. I mean, usually with these movies based around Christ, you kind of feel like inspired, or like you kind of get some form of inspiration from it. But this, for me, it was just more numbing, depressing, and hard to watch, rather than like moving and inspiring. Like, I don't know. What do you think, Adam?
I think this movie was made really well. They put a lot of effort into it, but it was very boring and I wasn't interested at all. It's a story that it's been told many, many times. I wasn't interested. Like, it felt like you were jumping in the middle of a story, like you were on movie 5 of a long series of movies, and you just didn't connect with any of the characters. I mean, I didn't really know any of the characters' names other than Jesus, basically. There's
Adam,
like
how
tons
could
of
you?
flashbacks and things.
You don't know the
Just
names
like-
of every single character? You haven't read the Bible? Are you kidding me?
I have not. By the way, guys, Luke is going to be our Christian representative for this episode. Okay, he's a
our
Bible
Christian
man.
expert.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's the
I can
expert.
help too, because like he might
Okay.
he might portray it negatively, because he like really did not enjoy this movie.
Hey, well,
No,
me and Mark
Nick-
here
Nick
are
can't
your
help,
Jewish
only Luke.
representative.
Yeah, we can be your Jewish
Yeah.
experts.
Yes. Mhm.
Amazing. Yeah, but it was just hard to connect with this movie. Yeah, that's my opinion.
I very much agree with that.
Mark, what did you think about this movie? Just your general.
My general opinion, so I watched the movie, the first time I saw this movie, I was in middle school. And I think, when did this movie come out?
04?
04. Yeah, so 04, I was like in 8th grade, I had to have been.
So you watched the.
Wait, this movie came out in 04?
Yeah, you were in like 6th grade. Maybe
No,
you were in
no.
5th.
I was in 7th, 8th grade, something like that. And when this movie came out, it was so controversial. Like, this is before social media, everything. And so I'm 29, just for reference. And when this movie came out, like, there were people at my school, like parents being like, kids can't watch this. Like, any parents showing their kids this, it's very like sensitive, and like particularly lots of like, I think, from what I recall, not to put the Jews on the spot, but I am, a lot of Jewish families were like, this is like kind of a hardcore movie that portrays Jews in a certain way. And then I watched that movie, and like my 12, 13-year-old self was like, whoa, this is the most brutal movie I have seen about this. Like, I know nothing about Jesus, and I'm watching this being like, damn, they are whipping him, and like I remember watching that scene. So when I was like 12, I was like, wow,
Were you scarred?
No, I wasn't scarred. I watched it like by myself, and I was just like kind of impressed by the visual aspects of it. And even just rewatching it yesterday, although like it didn't hit home on a lot of fronts for me, but the directing in it, I think Mel Gibson's directing is pretty good. He does a really good job at, with whatever story he's working with in this film, he's guiding it the way that he wants to guide it, and he's taking your eye on a journey. And I think he did a really good job of that. So in terms of like general opinion, the one thing that shines through is definitely there was a clear story that wanted to be shared in terms of visual storytelling, and he did a really good job at guiding the audience. So general opinion on that.
Yeah.
That's what I left with.
Yeah, and so like, I mean, I'm in the same boat here. Like, I was like when I first watched this, I'm like, wow, lot of like, it's mostly a watching. It's obviously like eyes. Your eyes are being attracted to the screen. You know, this is a very visually intense movie because unless you speak Aramaic, which you probably Aramaic, which you probably don't like, and you don't like, it's not a native language to you, so obviously subtitles don't hit as hard as actually like understanding the language. So your eyes are automatically going to be drawn to whatever's on the scene because you're being deprived of a certain sense while the other one gets like intensified. And obviously you can see that that's what Mel Gibson wanted. And so I would say that I enjoyed it, and it was, you know, I shouldn't enjoy someone being gruesomely murdered. However, you know, it was very well done, and I liked it.
Yeah, visual aspects of it were pretty good.
Nick, what did you think on this one, bud?
Yeah, basic like general opinion for me, I thought this was a very gory movie. Like those torture scenes like really like I don't know how to describe it.
Did you go to bed and you like woke up in a sweat and you're like
No, like it just really like kind of almost disturbed me a little bit. Just like cuz like it was just really like visually intense like you guys said. But like this movie I thought was really well done. Like they had good like flashbacks to kind of like give you more elements to the story, and like obviously the visuals were like key here, and it was like really like gory. I don't know much to say other than that, really.
Yeah, I mean that's probably what stuck through for everyone. It's just the amount of gore in this film. And I think
for sure.
I mean, we'll talk about this later with you know, Mel Gibson and how he wanted to make this movie, but yeah, we'll get to that later. So, Adam, why don't you move us along?
Yes. So now we're going to be talking about characters and acting in this movie. Now I'll start off. So acting, I'll just get that out of the way real quick. You know, it was great. I didn't see any problems. Obviously, there's a bit of a disconnect with being in a different language, but like as far as, you know, actual like you know, the way they act, not the way they're speaking, but like the, you know, the way they move and
those lines.
Like, you know that part of acting that was good. The acting was great, but the characters, oh my god, like so the characters like in the Bible, I guess they're fine. I mean, I've never read the Bible, so I wouldn't really know, but
yeah, they're fine.
The whole concept, the whole concept of an adaptation is to like, it's to tell the story but in a different format. They're not telling 90% of the story here, so it's so hard to like see the characters how they're meant to be seen, because like we see so little of the characters here.
Because like, isn't this whole like part of the what we're watching, that's like what, like a chapter in the Bible or something along those lines? It's not. I mean, obviously you can't condense a 400-page book into 2 hours. I mean, unless you're Peter Jackson, you want to make yourself a big extended Bible cut.
But like, why not? Why not
12 hours?
Why not make a 12-part?
I mean, I mean, it could happen.
It was basically 100 pages per hour, which I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to Bible movie. The flashback scenes I have a real problem with, because flashback scenes are meant to be like a callback, and it's meant to be like reflecting on how the character has changed or whatever. But here, they just have flashbacks, but you only see the character, you know, at the end of like their journey. You don't see the whole journey. This was what I was talking about earlier, where it feels like this is halfway through a series or at the end of a series.
It's like
and
they
you can't expect someone
you to know that, like the like the way the
you
movie
have to go into this movie like knowing like this story, because like
like Luke,
me and Luke, we probably know this story pretty well. We've probably heard it, like we've probably read it in the Bible, maybe like gone to church and heard about it. But like, I feel like in these movies, you have to go into knowing at least like a part of the story, because I wasn't really confused by it, because like I knew this story, and I thought that Mel Gibson, he's the director, right?
Yes.
I thought he put a really good like spin on like this story. I thought he did it really well for like a movie making aspect.
I mean, Nick,
And I
is it
thought,
like really
before-
accurate to the Bible though? Like, is this like?
That's a question later. Stop.
I mean,
Okay,
the
never mind. Don't
flashbacks-
answer it. Don't answer it. Don't answer it. Don't answer it. We're gonna see it later.
Yeah. We'll
Illegal.
save it for
Stay tuned.
later.
Cannot do it. No.
We'll save it for
I mean,
later.
okay. This is
most
a really
people-
okay. Go ahead.
Most people know this story. Like I know this story. But I just don't care about the characters because I don't really know the
Whoa.
characters.
Dude, Adam, you can't
Ooh.
say that in these times,
Whoa.
dude.
You
That's
can't
not
say that.
dude.
Yeah.
Dude,
No,
what, that's it, dude.
it's
This
true. Okay,
episode's
we're
going
not
down.
talking about like actual religious things. We're gonna try not to get into that. But just taking this as a movie, saying that everyone here is a fictional character, regardless of whether you think that or not. Okay, so I can't connect with the characters because I just don't. It's just like there's 5 scenes in this movie pretty much, and it's so hard to actually care about the story. It really is. Like it was so boring because you're just plopped right into the ending of the movie. It just sucks.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that sparks an interesting question of how much does the viewing experience of this movie depend on prior knowledge of the Bible, of these characters, of just the general, Jesus was crucified. It's like if you didn't know who Jesus was and you just turn this on, I just wonder what kind of or just any kind of religious, I guess, background for this story. I mean, if you just turn this on and we're watching it kind of blank slated, I wonder what that would kind of evoke in an audience member. I mean, I didn't have that experience, I think, and nobody in this group did. Like nobody didn't know who Jesus was.
Yeah. I mean, like, I know the general. I'm pretty sure the majority of people know the general just that Jesus was put on a cross, he was crucified, and people, started saying he's this and this, and Jesus like, I'm this. They put him on a cross, and they, they put a bullet in him, something like that. That's how I remember it. But I don't know. I really agree with Adam. This, like, I was just watching this, and the only thing I was like, yeah, I know this Jesus. I know he's gonna die. Like, I know this, but like, I'm not like, like, man, I feel this on the inside. Like, I feel like this every day. Like,
You mean like that's
Okay.
hitting it?
Okay.
Wait,
I hope.
Go ahead.
Go on.
no, Adam, you go, my friend.
Fine. I hope no one's looking at this movie and relating to Jesus.
I hope not, because that would be really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know if the movie is set up for you to like look at the character of Jesus and relate to him. I don't even know if the movie, because watching it yesterday, I felt like I was watching a series of
It's like a picture book come to life.
yeah, it was just kind of like a series of movements more so and tableaus than an actual plot structure. I feel like that's kind of moving a story along, and again, I think we don't know anything about these people. That's a really good point that's made. Like, I don't know anything about really much. I've never read the Bible myself. Like, I know certain stories, but I still am watching this movie being like, yeah, it does feel like I'm being thrown in, and I don't really have a connection to really, I don't know, any of the characters, but it poses a lot of questions like, well, does the movie still, quote unquote, does it still work even if you don't have really much information about these people? Like, it poses a lot of questions.
I mean, like, I was on my phone like about like 2 or 3 times. I'm pretty sure the person who helped Jesus carry the cross, like, that has to be of some significance. I'm like, I look on my phone, I'm like, oh, who is this? And I'm like, oh, it's this guy. Like, I don't even remember anymore. Like, because I'm not I don't follow Christianity, so obviously this isn't gonna stick with me.
I do think the acting was really good, though.
Yeah,
all things
For
considered.
sure.
Look, I think Jim Caviezel as Jesus did an incredible job. I think it's just a question of, see, this is the problem with this movie. Like, it's a question of, it's really a sensitivity question more than anything else. Like, if we were to make a movie right now about George Floyd, could people just sit and watch that movie for what it is? You know what I'm saying? Like, probably not. You know, we couldn't, or if we made a Donald Trump biopic, like you wouldn't have people just like chill watching the movie and being like, yeah, I'm just watching this movie. Like there's too much preloaded information in a person's kind of like conscious already to, you know, they're already basically judging what they're watching. I mean, that happens with any historical
everyone has
movie.
mental sets, like literally anything. There's mental sets on every single thing you do, which is an issue. But I guess, you know.
And then you throw in everybody has an opinion on Jesus and the Bible and religion on top of that. I mean, it's like, I don't think you can easily, I mean, I think it's really hard to watch this movie and separate yourself and watch like, okay, who's this Jesus guy? Oh, okay, I'm watching, okay, where did he come from? You know, it's really hard to do that, and particularly with this film, even though the acting across the board, there are great moments from all these actors, you know?
Especially the Italian model.
Yeah, she was great. If you guys don't know who Monica Bellucci is, you all need to look that up.
Okay.
You all need to do some research on Monica Bellucci, because she's not only a great actress, but one of the most beautiful women to have ever walked this earth. So
I would agree.
yeah.
Yes.
Good
So
to know.
Luke, Bible reference guy, how much character development is there in the Bible? How much did Mel Gibson and friends have to work with for this movie?
Oh wow. So, I mean, I haven't read like the full Bible. Like I that's not something I like go to church and stuff and on a pretty consistent basis. But anyway, I couldn't really connect with any of the characters or the story of this movie. I mean, basically the whole thing was just Jesus being turned from a man to a lifeless slab of meat, and it was just, I don't know, there was no like story involved. It was, I just really don't know what to say. Like the transformation, it just didn't stick at all. Like the transformation it displayed wasn't like the true transformation, like from human to divine. It was just a man being torn apart, and it was more disturbing than anything. I mean, I just really didn't enjoy it.
I mean, the gore like overpower you. Was that just like the only thing that like really stick with you? And it's just like, this is not what this story is supposed to be telling. Yeah,
basically, I mean, I feel like the makers of this movie,
Mel Gibson and Friends.
Yes, Mel Gibson and Friends. They just, I mean, the one thing I can appreciate is how much the insane amount of effort that was put into making this movie, but I just think it all went in the wrong direction. And yeah.
Well, I think the fact that, again, you just don't, okay, you look at these characters and you get these like you get these partial flashbacks, right? I mean, that's kind of, that's kind of what, I mean, there's one flashback where, you know, just because, again, I have all this preloaded information in my brain, I'm like, oh, that's the Last Supper. But within the context of the movie, it's just kind of like, oh, is Jesus having these flashbacks because he's literally dying and like probably, you know, getting closer to the end and remembering, you know, these moments, and certain, you know, his followers are also remembering these moments, because I think, right, they're kind of trying to say like he foreshadowed all this, right? He's saying I'll no longer be with you at some point, and they're kind of connecting the dots with that. But I don't know if that really served its purpose in the movie. I don't know if it kind of, I think what we see, right, we see this contrast of, oh, Jesus is really bloody and beaten up to a pulp, and then he's super clean and fresh and kind of like holy talking to his followers, right, in those scenes. And we get the juxtaposition of like him basically in hell and him in heaven. Like, I think that's on a visual level. I mean, just to simplify it, what they were trying to.
But then, like, why wouldn't they include the actual devil character, like,
Well, they
more
did.
often? Well, I mean, they should
Oh
have
yeah,
done it more often.
we didn't talk about the devil character.
Yeah, I mean, like, they should have included. Was that a him or her? I mean, in It's the devil's in It's, guys.
Yeah, we gotta ask the devil their pronouns.
That's true.
Yeah.
But the devil character, you know, I was like, you're only here like twice. You're here in the beginning, but why aren't you in all these super important scenes where you could be a very fun and a very useful contrast towards these like scenes where Mark's saying like he's very holy and he's nice and clean. He's with his friends. He's with people who he trusts and who they trust him. Like, why isn't it there in the other scenes where he's getting like literally?
Well,
like,
you're saying like, why isn't the devil there more often?
Yeah.
Well, I actually think some of the best moments in that film, character-wise, were between Judas and the character of the devil. Just the visual storytelling between those two. Like we saw, I think at one point we saw
the kids or whatever.
Yeah, we saw those kids with Judas, you know, like have like these like old demon faces, like old man face.
Oh
like,
yeah, that was that was interesting.
That was pretty disturbing.
yeah, and then the devil speaking to Jesus at some point, right? And there's like a little worm that comes out of the devil's like nose, and then like I think the devil then at some point's like floating around in the crowd as he's getting beat by the Romans for the first time, and like the devil's like holding this like old man baby thing, which was like, I remember the first time I saw that, it was terrifying. But I was like,
I didn't even know what that old man baby. I was like,
That was just
like
really
Harry Potter.
creepy.
Is that Voldemort?
I don't know what it was,
Could have been Voldemort. This is a crossover.
but that's a good. But see, I wish in terms of characters that they would have brought that character out a bit more. But that's right for my Bible expert here. That's a bit of like, again, like Mel Gibson, he kind of embellished that, right? Like the devil isn't in the Bible, like talking about like, you know, is the devil a character in the Bible?
Yeah. I feel like this film
It's like
this film is like struggling. It has to be biblically correct in order for like people not to like completely hate on it.
Okay.
But then people who have no outside experience sometimes get confused by it because there's not enough of like background information.
There's
but like it's kind of
absolutely
hard
no
to put that
context in
in.
this movie.
That's why you'd start with a different place in the Bible, not with like the end.
Okay, so then do we get Kevin Feige
End of
to
the
hop on
highway.
this Passion of the Christ train? And do we get?
Yes.
Should we apply the Marvel Disney treatment to Passion of the Christ?
Yes.
Like, are we gonna really like movify the whole Bible? Like,
Yeah.
JCU, the Jesus Cinematic Universe.
Jesus Cinematic Universe. I actually think
Amazing.
honestly, I think that if you got a lot of like, you know, A-level actors to do that and
Yeah.
literally just copy pasted a Marvel movie,
Ewan McGregor.
you'd
as
make a lot of
Jesus.
movies. You'd
Keanu
make a lot
Reeves
of
plays
movies.
Jesus.
No, Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
It literally is Jesus.
No, but you can
Oh,
have. But the cool thing about a multi-universe Jesus movie is you can have multiple people play Jesus because it's a multiverse.
Oh, Jesus into the Jesus verse.
Right into the exact. So you could stretch this so far. Anyway,
Okay, I think we've had enough.
right, enough of characters. and acting.
enough of characters. Adam, you know what to
Alright.
do.
So I have a question specifically for Bible expert Luke. In the Bible, it's John 8:3. Jesus says, "He that is without sin among you, let him cast the first stone." How did Mel Gibson use this philosophy in the movie? This is only for Luke.
What is it? Wait, hold
wait,
on,
I
hold on.
wanna
Let me
answer
pull
it
up the
too.
verse. Hold up.
Come on, no, just Luke.
John, I just want to look at the verse. John 8:3.
Yeah.
Yes.
Boy.
No, you get John Mayer. Wait, what's the?
Wait, what's the verse?
I can I
Can you just say that
can
again?
Wait, Adam, put the verse in the chat so we
Yeah.
can see it.
Okay. How do I do
Just
this?
copy
Hey,
paste it and
I'll
put
say it again. He that is without sin among you, let him cast the first stone. Amazing.
That is
What?
without sin among you, throw the first.
It's only for Luke. You guys don't need to worry
I just
about
want
this.
to look at
Yeah, I want to.
What do you want
gotta
me
be
to
a
say
Bible
about
expert
this?
to answer this question.
Bible expert. You gotta relate this.
Okay.
I mean, Luke, you study the Bible every single night and you like read it like religiously. Is this
Exactly.
correct?
No, I don't. Where did you get that idea?
On page 1 of the Bible, God said in the beginning. How
Let
do you
there be
relate?
light.
Yes.
Let there be light. Yes.
Okay, Nick, you want to answer this? Nick, why don't you answer this? Because you said
Yeah,
you
yeah.
Luke was
I feel like. Okay.
Luke, you
okay.
disappointed me.
I'm sorry. I don't know what to say to that.
So I feel
just got
like
Darth Vader.
in a really like simplified world, Jesus is taking one for the team. I mean,
Whoa.
I don't
What
want
team?
to. I don't want to say this like in a way that like offends anybody.
Dear God, don't offend anybody.
I hope I'm not offending anybody by saying that, but like
You offend
he's
yourself.
kind of the one who like wants to fix like the problems in the world, and like he's kind of destined to do this. So
What problems is
It's
he
like-
fixing? The Jews.
he's so without getting too religious, like going completely into Christianity, the goal for Jesus doing this, he would save this like he would save all like future people from like sin. So he would like have all this bad stuff happen to him to like to save other people from having to deal with something like he did. So like he was sort of the first one to do that, and he's like really the only one who has to do that.
Wait. I thought he is taking. I thought it's basically a battle right between God and the devil, because if he doesn't take on the sin of humanity, the devil wins, right? The devil wins. over
Exactly. He
mankind,
destroyed
right?
sin, so he destroyed the devil, I
Right.
guess. Yeah.
Because there's that scene in the movie where when Jesus dies, the devil's like basically freaking out. There's like
Exactly.
just rage quit,
Yeah.
screaming in the air.
Yeah,
Jesus
he died
Christ.
to like kill sin.
Right.
Yeah, Jesus died for your sins.
Okay, well,
Exactly.
a question comes up, which is, okay, well, who is this guy? In the context of this movie, like it kind of come to me. The question was like, well, who's this guy to all of a sudden think like, oh, he's this special dude? Like that's what the movie did not reveal very clearly. Like I'm sure that maybe the Bible expounds on this a little bit more clearly, but the movie didn't do a good job of setting up like why he's so special.
Yeah.
Like
mean,
what makes this guy
Is Mel
special.
Gibson a religious guy?
Yeah, I think he's a Christian.
I would think so, since he
Yeah.
made a movie
Yeah.
about Jesus.
Yeah, he's a
And-
Christian. He
and-
said, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But that's my question. Like, did I mean to the group here? Do you guys feel like they did a good job of setting up why this guy's so special?
I mean, like, if I was watching
No,
this and I had
not
no
at all.
idea who Jesus was and I was, like, blank slated, again, I would be like, okay, so, like, what did he actually do? Like, why should I really
Yeah.
be caring about him? Like, oh, he seems to be helping he's freeing someone from, like, death or something, or
Yeah.
he's trying to help someone. I mean, like, why is he getting, put on a cross for this? Like, it's just really unexplained. It's very cryptic.
And I think that's why when the movie was released, the Jewish community hopped down Mel Gibson's neck, because the movie kind of, without doing any kind of exposition about Jesus, really, aside from seeing scenes with his mom when he was younger, what we see is all these Jewish people being like, just hating on him. That's basically all we see. We see a group of Jewish.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, they didn't like even say who Jesus was until like he was being like tried, I guess, in a little courtyard.
Oh yeah, by Pontius Pilate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm pretty sure that's the first time
What's
they
his
actually
name?
said
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like I don't think they
They might have
said
said it in the
most of
beginning, but
characters'
they didn't make it
They
very
probably
obvious.
said it, yeah.
I mean, Judas probably
Yeah.
could have been like Jesus, like he could have been, but they didn't like explicitly be like, you are Jesus of Nazareth, you are the Messiah, you think you're the Messiah, and they didn't really say that, obviously, because like, why would his own followers be like, Jesus the Messiah? They wouldn't do that.
Yeah, and like like full honesty, guys. I couldn't tell the difference between Jesus and Judas half the time. They look so similar.
Well, maybe that was on purpose.
Maybe you wanted.
Maybe that was done on purpose.
What would that prove?
Well, I don't know,
Yeah.
because Judas was the closest to Jesus, right? That's why his
He was the one
betrayal.
who betrayed him,
I don't
though.
know.
What,
He was the one.
What is he?
No.
Maybe we should get the Bible expert on this.
Bible expert.
What?
Isn't Judas the
Yeah,
closest to
Luke.
Jesus?
Luke, please speak.
Luke, is Judas the closest to Jesus?
Yeah, I mean, Judas. Yeah, I mean, he was one of the 12 disciples that was like pretty close to Jesus.
Okay. We need a definite answer here. This is important stuff. Was he the closest?
No.
or was he not?
I'm pretty sure he was one of the
Okay,
closest.
pretty sure is not gonna cut it, Luke.
No. He wasn't
Take
the
out your Bible
closest.
now.
He wasn't the
But
closest.
he was
Nick, who was the
he was
closest?
the one who he was the one who
Probably like
betrayed him.
you saw. I think we saw John in this movie. He was like one of the closest.
That was
Yeah,
that the
I
one
guess
with his
so.
mother
So-
and the other and Monica, Monica the hot.
I don't
Yeah.
remember too.
Because like they did so poor job explaining the characters. I'm like, who
Yeah,
is the guy
exactly.
next to like I'm like I can't tell these apart because it's not like people don't have a defined like look because the
Yeah.
Bible doesn't have pictures. It's not a picture book.
I mean, I'm not kidding though. I don't think that the name of any character other than Jesus and Mary probably was spoken ever.
No, I think Paul.
Like-
I think. No, I think there were. I think Paul
Yeah,
was mentioned. I think
most
so.
of-
Who are the two guys
Like-
next to him on the crucifix? Or who's the guy on the left and the guy on the right? Who
Oh,
was-
on the crucifix? I don't know.
or were those like unrelated?
They were insignificant. Like they weren't
They were
that
nameless soldiers.
important.
Okay.
Oh, and also the Caecilius guy, he was named in the King, but that's it.
Caecilius.
Yeah, Caecilius is from the Latin textbook for
Yeah.
those
Yes,
unenlightened.
Cambridge,
Oh, I'm so
Cambridge
unenlightened.
Latin.
Please enlighten me.
textbook.
Yeah,
Well,
But-
I just
yeah. This is for such a high budget production movie that you can tell they really tried on to like make it a high quality movie. They did such a bad job with characters. Like this is
Yeah.
some of the worst I've seen.
Just in
ever.
terms
Well-
of exposition.
Yeah, they just
Yeah,
assume
because if you
it's
go into
Bible
the
or
story with nothing, it's hard to really
to
you
grasp.
can't
I
destroy
mean,
this movie if you're not a hardcore
even with
Bible fan.
even with the background of the Bible, it's still a rather uninteresting story.
yeah.
Well, it's one of the main stories, but like it's kind of hard to put it into a movie form, I guess.
that's why film
Yeah,
adaptations of stories like books are like, you know, it's either a swing or a miss.
Yeah, it's kind of
That's
difficult
the
to
art
pull
of the
off.
adaptation. You just got to get it perfectly right.
Exactly.
And,
Well,
like,
yeah.
I don't know too many adaptions that really were that good.
Well,
so
there's a
hard.
Martin Scorsese adaptation called The Last Temptation of Christ that also I haven't seen it, but it was
Oh, we're
Willem,
watching that.
yeah, Willem Dafoe. Yeah, maybe you guys should just have like Bible movies, you know?
Yeah,
like
we're
section,
we're
religious.
we-
Bible
we
movie
convert.
reveal.
Watch Veggie Tales.
I will convert to
Well,
Christianity.
you know,
for a
the
week.
cool thing, I mean, I haven't seen that movie, but what's interesting is it also kind of suffers from, I think, how it was received. You know, it was really controversial and kind of like, I think critics kind of threw Marty Scorsese under the bus because of it. So it's, you know, these movies kind of carry, I think, a curse to some degree when you tackle religious kind of subject matter. But a really good one was The Prince of Egypt, which is an animated film.
I've not seen that.
That one is a really good movie because it does exactly what we're talking about, which is that one's about Moses and freeing the Jews, holler, and you get to see basically great exposition in that movie because you see Moses and Ramses as children growing up together in Egypt, and then you get to see them kind of split their separate ways as adults. So you really do get a full kind of circle of life sense with that, at least that religious, you know.
Yeah.
But that's not Bible. That's what? That's
Torah,
no. What's before the Bible? The
Old Testament.
The Old Testament.
Well,
Yeah.
that's half.
That's like
Old
the
Testament.
first half of the Bible is the Old, and then you got the
I
New
know that.
Testament.
There you go. So
Yeah.
Big brain time.
yeah, so I mean, it's just like and then just like, you know, talking about dialogue, right? The dialogue in this film kind of.
Excuse me, that's the next question. Would you like to move on to that question?
Dear God, I'm sorry.
Adam, move it on, dude. We've talked enough.
We've talked enough about
Character.
Okay,
in that
dialogue
movie.
time, yes.
Let Mark hit this one. He's already going hard.
But dialogue? Well,
Yes, dialogue is the next question, so just say what you were going to say.
well, I was gonna say with dialogue, it's really interesting because again, we're speaking. I think I read that this is a mixture of like
Aramaic.
Hebrew,
Aramaic.
Latin,
Aramaic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's
I'm
a bit
sorry.
of Latin in this.
Yeah, look, we want a full translation, okay?
Yeah, because the Romans speak
Oh, I got
Latin.
you.
Yeah, but wasn't the big Adam? What's the name of the Roman leader guy, or the big man?
Caecilius, we'll call him that.
Caecilius. He's I'm pretty sure he spoke in, because it said like in the subtitles when I had him on, he's like, it said like, oh, he switched languages when he was talking.
Well, I would
Yeah,
argue
'cause-
that the dialogue doesn't even matter in this movie. Like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't, honestly, like, you
got subtitles. Yeah.
have subtitles, but I'm saying, like, it's such a, it's such a visually driven film where I actually think that I was reading about this and I read that Mel Gibson originally did not even want the movie to be subtitled. He just wanted
That.
people speaking in this ancient languages.
Wow.
And I kind of think that would actually have been better to some degree because
What?
Well, nobody would be able to watch it.
I can
But
definitely
the whole
see that.
point of the movie, it's not that you're like because I'm pretty sure the target audience of this movie is people who know what the Bible story is, who don't really
Exactly.
care, because they're like, oh, I know what's going on here. I don't really need to know the dialogue because it's not really it's not really important for this certain thing because
I mean, think
You
about
can't describe it
if
in
you
words.
saw this movie with no subtitles, and it was just a visual journey, and like, you know, the majority of people wouldn't be able to understand these languages, so you know, you're kind of just watching images. Like, I don't know, that to me sounds really cool.
To me, from my perspective, there's literally no variation in visual. It's just the only visually intense thing about this is just Jesus getting whipped, and it's just really not that interesting, and it's just also
they like
not
got
fun to
old
watch.
after like the first. I mean,
yeah, they
not
spent
exactly.
a long time on it.
They,
and then
they
the
so
dialogue doesn't even
overdid it.
matter.
It's not even funny.
yeah.
Yeah,
like
I mean, I think that like keeping it just plain visual movie and not having dialogue, that would have been a good idea for this movie. But also you have to back that up with like music, right?
which there was.
Like I
there
feel
was
like
music.
even the movie
Yeah.
as it is now would have been improved so much with a really good score. That's what I think.
You
I
get-
mean,
get
the
Hans
music
Zimmer.
wasn't bad.
Hans Zimmer or John Williams.
John Williams.
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer.
No.
Hans Zimmer.
John Williams is good, but like for this like epic scale, you gotta have Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer
yeah.
is pretty good too, I have to admit, but
Yeah,
John
and
Williams is
I
superior.
love John Williams as well. Just
Yeah.
let's not talk
Come on,
about
guys.
this right now.
Let's not
Yeah,
start
yeah,
a
let's
war
not get into
in
this again.
We don't need to do this again.
No.
Well, I just think that I honestly just think that, you know, there's not.
It was an
So
afterthought.
as an actor, well, okay, so as an actor, when you get a script, you kind of, it's a gamble at what you're getting with a film or TV script. Sometimes you're getting something that has a great story and has great dialogue, and when you say that dialogue, it feels very natural, and you really don't feel like you have to act particularly hard. And then other times, you get a script that has, you know, maybe many writers involved in it and many opinions, and in some cases many producers, and the dialogue kind of feels a little choppy, and immediately you have to think, okay, damage control, how do I bring this to life? And hopefully the director working on that film understands those issues and is trying to kind of help the process as well. I feel like with this film, it was a little case of that, which is like, it seems like there were a lot of opinions about what this dialogue is, and it was a little disjointed, where, again, I feel like you don't even need it.
it was like an afterthought.
Well, it just doesn't, it just felt like kind of corny at times. Like when we get those flashbacks of Jesus.
He's like, here, my brother,
it's just
take
kinda
the
like,
water,
well, we
take
kind
the
of-
wine.
Why do we, it's just kind of like, I don't know. I guess it's easy to, just copy paste Bible passages or verses from the Bible into this. And it's, again, if we're talking about, okay, adapting the story, why didn't we do something a little bit more creative with the dialogue? Using the different languages, that was really cool. That was a really cool thing to do where, we're hearing Latin, we're hearing Hebrew, awesome. But I guess
we're not really taking any of it in. It's kind of hard to.
It's going through one ear and right out the other.
Yeah.
But I guess
I
guess the general consensus is that the dialogue just like it was there. That's all it really has going for it. It was there.
I mean, it's pretty much a non-factor because like I can't connect to dialogue. I can't feel the expression in each word because we don't know.
And you don't know the language because you can't tell the inflections. You can't tell like what's being stressed when something's saying like. You can say like, oh, I want to kill someone, or I want to kill someone, or I want to kill someone. Like you don't know unless you speak that language.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
I mean,
yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of foreign films out there that have subtitles that are awesome. That are great.
Yeah, of course.
So it's just this again. We're dealing with like any biopic, basically on the same level. We're dealing with our preconceived judgments coming into this movie. And then we're seeing everything that's being said and we're judging it on a level that's usually more intense than, again, a film that has no history attached to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think also with an adaptation, you have to consider, like, where would this be if there was no source material? Like, say that the people who are making the movie, they made this up all on their own. Would it actually still be a good movie, or would it just be an amazing flop? Like it has to be able to independently exist from the source material and to be a good adaptation. And this would not whatsoever. No.
This is kind of like you're reading the Bible and you push a button and it takes you to this movie. It's like, this is this, but enhanced in Ultra HD with Ultra Blood.
So then
Life Fiction 4K UHD remaster.
Another question then another question comes up to me, which is like, well, so is it even possible to adapt anything from the Bible for face value? If we're gonna do like historically kind of accurate biblical adaptation of something, actually go to Jerusalem, actually try and recreate that historically accurate world, does it work? Could it ever work?
I think no, because you can't recreate history. That's not how things work. Because someone's gonna get offended. Someone's gonna be like, no, this happened like this. Or someone's gonna be like, well, you interpreted this wrong. Or someone's gonna be like, well, I just don't like it. Or someone will agree with you. It's just, you're in this limbo of people being annoyed, people loving it.
Well, because everybody feels like they have ownership over the story in some way.
Yeah, this is why you have all these different Christianities. You have Lutherans, Catholics, Protestants, whatever, all this mumbo jumbo, because everyone doesn't agree.
Mm-hmm. I feel like an adaptation should be the director's perspective or his how would you say it? His vision of the source material, right? This is how Mel Gibson was thinking of the Bible. Not anyone else. If people would understand that, would be good.
And I mean, is it a good thing to have it where Mel Gibson, like the one man, is responsible for interpreting this, or do we want to have, like we were talking before, like a whole group of people, like the writers?
No, I think a director. I think it's
his job.
Yeah, this is the director's job to deliver a story like this. I mean, especially with an adaptation, like it's the director's job to bring that home. But I mean, I just don't think. Honestly, I'm like, it's just not interesting. But also, if you were to put this, I think if you were to make this an animated, okay, let me take a step back. You need some kind of buffer in between the audience and a very sensitive story like this so that the audience can connect to it.
What do you mean?
So take for example Prince of Egypt, which is like the story of Moses. It's a cartoon. It's an animated film. That's enough of a buffer for an audience to connect to it because they know that they're not watching something realistic.
Yeah.
They're not watching realism. They're watching a cartoon. That happens to be the story of Moses.
So we need
With
we need an anime version of this movie, guys.
it could work. That's what I'm saying. Is that it could at least. I mean, you need something, but this was like. Do you think because they attempted to make this as realistic as possible, it backfired?
It lost out on what
Yeah.
it was trying to actually achieve.
It's an interesting point.
Maybe they should. We can make a Lego stop motion film, guys.
Because if you're trying to make something as realistic as possible, you're basically rubbing up against the issue of, well, how do you know how many lashes were on Jesus's back? And how do you know that that's how he looked like?
Luke knows.
And how do you know that, who are you to make the assumption that this is this and that's that? It's every single problem basically that I think comes up when you deal with any kind of historical character.
Again, it's like really hard to make notations of historical moments because everyone has different points of view, has a different point of view. I mean,
And therein lies the problem. And this goes for literally anything. This is
Exactly.
a Marvel movie. You're like, oh, you didn't interpret the comics right, or it's a Harry Potter. Like, oh, you completely missed out on this book element, or like, it's like you gotta figure out what you want in your film, and it'll make someone mad. Like,
Yeah.
people want to get mad at literally anything, which is the issue. Like, I mean, love this film,
but there
guys.
is a part of us that they want to see. There's a part of us that the reason, a part of why we want to watch any kind of drama unfold is, again, we want to see something that looks like our world to a degree. But the problem lies in if you make it too realistic, there's no point in showing it. Like, why should I show you a film about violence if I can just play you a bunch of clips on YouTube of people getting, like, I don't know, beat up or something? Like,
Yeah.
I could just show you the same thing. Like, you could just play Grand Theft Auto. Like, what's the point of, you have to get a little bit more creative with how you dramatize something.
Like, the movie's trying to do too many things at one time. Like, it's hard to tell. I mean, it's difficult to tell what the direction of this film was. Like, were they trying to be like, oh, we want to show how gory it is, or do we want to be like, well, what's actually happening here? Like, you can't tell.
Well, I mean, it's just like a question comes up to me, like a creative idea question. It's like, well, what if we never saw Jesus actually get whipped? We just saw shots of,
Like, quick
his
flick
eyes,
flash.
or we saw, and we saw all those moments exclusively from the perspective of the characters around him. What if that was the choice? So we never actually see Jesus, and we never actually see all this like makeup on him of him getting whipped. We're actually just viewing it as if we were in the crowd looking at him. What if that was the choice made with the movie?
What if they made the movie from the perspective of Jesus? Like first person.
First person.
wow.
That'd be interesting.
Wow, that would,
VR Jesus. Well, then I'm thinking, well, if you're just some random Joe and you're like watching this, you're just gonna be completely baffled. You're gonna be like, well, why are? Again, you don't have context. Well, you can kind of tell, like, oh, these crowds might be the Jewish people and they're hating on Jesus because obviously he's, starting a cult of sorts.
Essentially, yeah, they think, yeah.
And it's just your genuine response if you're someone in this crowd would be like, yeah, kill him, he doesn't deserve to live. But then again, you could be his mother, when you'll be like, oh, sad and crying all the time because it's like, this is like awful what they're doing to my son.
Well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
very much agree.
yeah, I agree with that. It would be interesting. I just feel like there's so many, like, even just us, idiots sitting around microphones, because that's what we are, just idiot monkeys sitting around a microphone.
Yeah.
Discussing ideas out loud. I mean, any of those ideas are at least, I think, a riskier adaptation than, just show it as real as possible, and let's try to get it as realistic as possible. I think that just is a poor choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my opinion, this movie kind of just took a really great story and reduced it to horror, essentially. Like, I mean, if Mel Gibson and friends had kind of brought out more of the story and less of the constant violence, like 90% of the movie was just constant violence, and I really didn't see the point in, like, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, they kind of like the Romans. I feel like we're hopping around a bit, but that's okay. I feel like, right? Yeah. But yeah. So I feel like the Romans. Interesting talking about the Roman characters. The Roman characters, to your point, were like just like soulless, violent creatures, like the lackeys around Pontius Pilate that were just whipping him up. Like they were like getting off on it. And I'm like, I wonder, like I don't think people are. I don't think anybody would be getting off on this necessarily. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just didn't see that. That was just kind of, I mean, that was just like an extra sauce moment for me, where it's like that's too much sauce on this, man. Where I'm like, this is
getting soggy.
Yeah, it's just like you're laying it on way too thick that these Romans are like, yeah, get him, you know. I just don't think. Again, an interesting choice would have been to see, and we kind of saw it with Pontius Pilate, but to see like, oh, you know, how much am I gonna obey orders, and like how uncomfortable is this versus like I'm getting off on whipping a guy, you know.
Yeah, like they were very cartoonish, one-sided characters. Like honestly, everyone in this movie is a one-sided character, but like I don't know. I feel like they were going for a more darker, like gritty adaptation of this story, and it felt kind of out of place to have them being like, "Yeah, whip him hard,"
but also feel sad.
It didn't seem right.
Yeah, it's just kind of hard to tell because like we weren't there, the movie makers weren't there.
Yeah.
Like historians don't like really know.
We
like,
don't even know if
what
this ever happened. Like we don't even know if Jesus was actually beaten to the, like this much of a pulp. Like
yeah, it's hard to go off of like what we know. Like even the Bible doesn't explain like all that happens here. It's like very vague in some points, and it's like it leaves more things up to discussion. And I feel like there's small ways that like directors can go about like trying to produce a movie like this, and it's just he just chose this gory way to go about it, and he did this gory way well. It's just whether we think that it's a good representation. It's really just an opinion question.
Yeah, and obviously we know Luke right now, he did not enjoy it, which is totally fine because not everyone's supposed to enjoy everything. I'm kind of mixed. I'm like, well, yeah, it's a movie. Like, yeah, it's a story, like very violent. However, like, I'm like, was it really necessary? It's super objective, like you were saying, Nick.
Also, side note, just looking this up. So, 2018, Jim Caviezel, who played Jesus, he played Luke in a movie called Paul, Apostle of Christ. We have something against the kind of already multiverse happening. There's a movie came out called Paul, Apostle of Christ in 2018.
What's an Apostle of Christ?
So Paul, who was
it's like a disciple kind of
like a disciple, and he played Luke in that movie. That's interesting.
I bet he's on set. He's like, yo, I played Jesus in this one movie.
Yeah, it's just
amazing.
Anyway,
yeah, once with Jesus, always with Jesus. You know.
Yeah.
What happens in Jerusalem stays in Jerusalem.
What happens in Jerusalem? Yes. All right.
Wow.
Okay.
So,
all right. Question 4 after that entire hour. Okay. So,
yeah, VFX. Oh,
gonna talk about
Luke. You can mute yourself. You can leave the call.
VFX. Luke. Yeah.
Luke, give us your honest opinion. We know you hated it, but
yeah, I just don't know why. I just didn't. Again, they just went all out on the gore, and it really didn't do anything. It didn't make me feel closer to Jesus. Just put this movie. I was just like, it's just made me. It made me make a mental note to myself to never watch this again. Don't show this to your kids because this is truly just.
I'm gonna force Luke to watch this.
No, we don't need to do that. I mean, like, I kind of agree with Luke. Like, I was watching this, and they started doing this, like, beating him up scene at the very, like, not like when they're, like, punching him in the beginning of the movie and he gets the black eye or, like, the swollen eye.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, that's pretty bad already. I'm like, we're
Yeah.
already watching a boxing film by now. But then we get to the part where, he's getting, like, whipped. And I'm like, oh, he's getting pretty, like, hurt here. And then they bring out, like, the gut scraper. And then Mark's just like, he's like, whoa, wait, watch this. And then he just gets his, like, entire, like, ribs, like, scorched. And I'm like, ew, like, why is this here?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then, like we were talking about before, I'm like, why are these, like, guys, like, they're like, oh, yeah, like, yeah, kill him, yeah. And I'm just, like, so, like, I'm like, people are not like this. I refuse to believe there is an entire group of people in a civilization like the Romans that are actually like this. They're like, feel absolutely no remorse. It was just like this like, it was pretty realistic. I'll give you that. Like, everything looked like this guy looked like he's been through hell and back.
It looked very realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what made it very gruesome, and that's why I'm pretty sure Luke was like not having it for this one. I mean, like, what did you think?
Yeah,
Mark?
I mean,
About
like
the,
I said
you mean
before,
about the gore?
okay, go.
I mean, about the VFX and like,
Well,
you know,
I
like
mean, I
makeup,
think-
all that falls under here.
I mean, again, like I remember the first time I saw this, I was kind of like blown away by how gory it was, like my 12-year-old self, you know, and I was actually like kind of impressed. I think, well, maybe more shocked than anything else, but I was just kind of like shocked at like basically how intense it got. And I think, you know, from a VFX point of view, like, we're all talking about how gory it was, so I think that's a success. I mean, they definitely, if that's what they were looking
They
for,
did their job.
they
Yeah.
did their job for sure. But again, it's like it's so disjointed, and that if you keep watching it, again, it's like there's so much of it happening that it's kind of funny at times. You know, it kind of it gives that reaction of like, or at least it gives that effect of, okay, this is a lot.
Like the first time it
a
happened,
lot,
I was
yeah.
the first time it happened, I was like, wow, this is very like insane. This is very powerful. But
Yeah.
then they just keep doing it over and over, and I'm like getting sick of it. It's like, why is this still here? Like, do something else. Like, find
It's just
another
really
trope
hard to
exploit.
watch, and I think they were just trying to like drive that point home. Like, you went through so much to like save people. Like,
Yeah.
I guess they just had to like kind of give that scope, and I guess it just came across to people like, oh, this is like crazy how he has to go through this. Like, no person like should be able to go through this.
Mhm.
And it's just really, really violent, but like kind of like what Mark was saying, like from like a VFX like point of view, they did their job, and yeah, I feel like you got to respect them for that.
Mm-hmm.
Just some fun
I mean, I
facts.
get
During filming, the actor who played Jesus endured accidental lashings, a dislocated shoulder,
I remember
pneumonia,
reading this.
a lung
We read
infection,
this.
persistent migraines, and getting struck by lightning.
I guess the curse.
So,
I guess
I know.
the role of Jesus could be cursed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, obviously you're gonna get accidental lacerations if like your character's getting whipped every 3 seconds. Sorry, every half second.
And
It's
they
inevitable.
they actually dislocated the shoulder. Like, it looked real, probably because it was.
Oh, when they're
Yeah.
like putting him on the where they're
No,
crucifixing.
that's not real.
Pull his arm to get it on like
No way.
the right spot on the cross.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
You guys
he
think that
did
was real?
dislocate his shoulder. I don't know if it was there,
Oh man, that would be.
but
No, I feel like that part looked super realistic. I mean, I've never seen anyone dislocate their shoulder before, but I feel like it would look
I
something
have.
like that.
Well,
it does.
that's pretty crazy. If that's what went down, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
So I'll give my opinion now. I think the visual effects were amazing.
Great at carrying the
They
cross.
did overdo it quite a bit, but it all looked really good. They had a budget of 30 million US dollars, and with that, they got their money's worth.
They racked in almost a
sure.
bill.
Yeah,
It was
I don't
660.
think at any point I said that looked unrealistic. It was just
Yeah.
it was good.
Oh no.
I think that in my opinion, just the visuals of this movie, a combination of multiple different things, but just the visuals, really nothing else. Just the visuals is what this movie had going for it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
For sure.
hands down. I mean, I think I said it before, but they nailed it on the makeup. You know, the makeup got
Yeah.
nailed,
Crazy.
and they didn't.
Okay. Moving on to
Yeah.
that next question, we're gonna talk about pacing.
Hold up, Adam,
This is a real good one.
Adam, can we do a quick pause for like 5 seconds?
Yes.
Yeah, just wait, hold up. You guys can talk. You're all good. Are you leaving, mommy? Okay, bye, mommy. Have fun. Please make my $600 into like 2,000. My mom won't gamble my money away.
Terrible.
Okay.
Okay. Let me mark that down. Hour and 6 minutes. Okay.
we're
Oh my
we're
God.
definitely breaking 2 hours with this one. You
No,
know,
we
longest review. No,
Mark is, like,
let's
crying.
let it go as long as it needs to
Do you
go.
want to let this go as long as it
I need
needs?
to go to the
Yeah,
bathroom.
it's gonna be a meme.
Do you go to the
Yeah.
bathroom? Well, we'll wait.
We gotta get our Jesus talking.
Mark is gonna go to the bathroom real quick, so I'll just let you know when he comes back,
Okay.
and I'll mark it when he comes back.
Yes.
Hi, Mark. This is I think, dude, Mark's just carrying the conversation real hard.
Yeah.
No, he's doing a good job.
Yeah, he is.
He's doing a good
We
job.
have- yeah.
He's giving that actor insight, you know?
Yeah, I mean, also he's an
Sure.
adult, so he sees things better than we do.
For
But yeah,
sure.
we should probably, a little bit hurry this one up. I mean, let's not try to
A
draw
little.
things out like
I
till
mean,
they're dead.
we are going faster. We spent an hour on the first 3 questions, mostly the second one. But
Well,
since then,
it was
we've gone
more.
through
We
a
weren't
full
even
question.
talking about the characters a lot.
Yeah.
We were just talking about like a general idea, kind
Yeah,
of.
but we went through our last question in 16 minutes, so that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I at least want to get to 2 hours.
Apparently,
that'll be
when
fun.
Jesus was when Jesus was crucified, apparently, you know how you get brick and mortis where your blood rushes everywhere. Apparently, Jesus, got a boner.
Noise.
So there were many things that were hung that day.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
This is real. I'm telling you the facts, guys.
Yes.
Play the best.
Yeah, guys. Luke didn't watch the last half hour of the movie.
Wait, what? You
Well,
did? I mean, Luke.
Honestly, though, what's
Spoiler
the
alert.
point? Like, I know exactly what's gonna happen. It's
Luke,
just
spoiler
Jesus
alert.
gonna-
Luke, I'm sorry to tell you, but he dies at the end.
but then he
What?
comes back.
He comes back. He comes back like Obi-Wan. Wait, is this like a retelling of Obi-Wan Kenobi? Because technically Star Wars happens before Christ, right? Galaxy
No.
far, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say the Bible was only a long time ago, not a long time ago.
And
Yeah.
it was in this galaxy, not one far away.
Yeah, of course.
So I
And
think
and if you go through the interstellar black hole, then time's gonna be different. So
I think Christopher Nolan
I
actually
reckon
went through
that
that hole.
Star
He went
Wars
through the
does
hole,
take
that's what
place before
happens.
the Bible. So now we're gonna be talking about pacing. I'll go first for this one. This is where the movie suffers the most. I feel like all the characters and all that. While that is pretty bad, I feel like this movie would have been at least somewhat enjoyable if they got the pacing right. The pacing was so slow. I usually don't have
Yeah.
problems with slow movies, but honestly, there was only like 5 scenes in this movie, and it's 2 hours long. It's been said on many IMDb pages and articles and stuff that this is the last 12 hours of Jesus's life, but it's a 2 hour long movie. So really you're not. It's not being condensed down much. It's almost real time, at least compared to most movies. But it's just so slow and so boring. I have nothing more to say. It's so boring. I've never watched a movie this boring.
I mean, like, I think if this movie was 25 minutes long, they could have told the exact same story, and it would have, and it would have been a lot more bearable to watch. Like, me and Mark, when we were watching this, how many viewing sessions do we have? Like 3 or 4.
Yeah, we split it up.
Yeah, like I honestly got bored pretty quick, and I was just like, I fell asleep the first time.
Yeah, we split it up.
Yeah. But other than flashbacks, there's literally only 5 scenes in this movie, right? Jesus gets caught in the forest. They're like in that weird hallway area.
In the Jew
They're
temple.
doing the trial thing. He's getting whipped. Okay, 6. Then he's carrying the cross, and then he gets crucified, and that's it. There's 6 scenes in this movie. It's so slow. It's so drawn out, and they didn't need that at all. Like, I get it that they're going for a certain effect, but that effect could have been done in a fraction of the time.
I mean,
yeah, I guess the whole problem with this movie was they tried to focus on like the crucifixion of Jesus, and like that's all they focused on. Like they didn't have like much build up or like anything after. I mean, I guess you see him come back for like 5 seconds, but like you don't. All we focus on in this movie is just the crucifixion and like the scenes like right leading up to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what else they could have done with this movie. Like the Bible is so like kind of disjointed. Like it's written by so many different people. They've all got slightly different like interpretations. And it's hard to get something like this. It's hard to have that backstory. And it's just they just couldn't do much else with this movie. And I totally agree with you. It was very slow, but like it was kind of the whole point of the movie just to focus on this. So I'm gonna give them a free pass, even though I completely agree with you. It was very slow.
you give them the free Christian pass. You give them the pass of God.
Sure, we'll say that.
I mean, I think the fact that this was so slow was what made it so hard to watch. That in combination with the almost
Like the gore was so drawn out.
unbearable gore, and like on the way to his crucifixion, that lasted literally like 45 minutes, no joke. And
Like he fell like 400 times. He's like every 5 seconds you hear like the Obi-Wan Kenobi like Lego like Star Wars death. He's just like and he falls.
Yeah.
And then he's like help cover. He's like and he gets up and he keeps going and it's just like how many times can you fall? Why have you not died from blood loss yet?
I know, like I genuinely felt like it was like 30 seconds that were just being repeated over and over and over. Oh my goodness, can you stop already? Like,
yeah, and like
that's all I gotta say.
to talk a bit about the whipping scene, I didn't really have much problem with the gore, like I know a lot of you guys did, but what really got me is just how drawn out it was. Like I would have been fine if it was exactly as it was, but just like 1 or 2 minutes long, maybe even less. But it was like 10 minutes straight of just Jesus being whipped constantly. Like it's just not fun to watch.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Like I said, they abused the trope. Like it was very powerful the first time they used it, and then it just went to shit. It was like, it's like they just did it so much. Like you're just like, why is this here? Like why is this here?
Definitely.
Like that. Like that's literally like 20 minutes of there was like 20-30 minutes of him just being hit or falling or doing something that would like.
No, not more than that. It's like 75% of the movie is just him being beaten in some way.
Yeah, and it's just like find something else. Like really.
Yeah, they drew that out a bit too long. I would say they drew that
I feel
out
like it's not
a bit way too long.
a really
I agree
good
with that.
representation of the Bible. In
I
my
have
opinion.
nothing to say about the pacing. I agree with everybody here.
All right.
I just don't have anything to
moving on.
add. I don't have anything to add. I agree.
We just stole your words right out of
Yeah.
your mouth.
Yeah.
And I mean that like,
It's really something.
I mean, Adam, I hate to steal your thunder right now, but like that I mean, like we've already been talking about like the next question, like the plot structure. Like we've already been really kind of like
For sure.
like
yeah.
pretty much we've been
Yes,
saying.
we
like,
have.
Like you've already said yourself, Adam. It's six principal scenes, and it's just like we understand that that's what it's what it's meant to do. And you have the like you
Yes.
said before, you have him getting caught, then you have him getting then you have him getting tried by the Jews, then you have him getting tried by the Romans, then you have him being beat, then you have him carrying, then you have him falling, and then you have him this. And it's just like, it's just not enough. But I get it, because it's like, this is just a little itty bitty excerpt out of a large overarching universe of Jesus's.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Essentially, not enough, but at the same time, too much.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
I vibe with that.
All right. So, another big one, cinematography.
Ooh, my favorite. So, actually, I don't even know if this film was shot on film, like physical film, because I'm gonna say my normal thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hold up, I'm gonna look the cameras used. So
I bet it was. I think it was.
so it was shot on film. So I mean, obviously
Really?
it went through a lot of color grading. You could tell in this movie it was like very very warm colors throughout the like scenes that weren't for like the forest, the beginning scene. Like everything was pretty warm, which I'm pretty sure this film was meant to do. But did they do anything like new, like any news type of shots for this film or anything? But it was all stuff like you have your stuff like follow, like you have your close-up shots, you have your stuff that's like right up close and personal, which is like it's meant to evoke uncomfortableness. You have not a lot of these very wide shots, only when they're just trying to show you like, oh, we're going up on the mountain where we're gonna crucify him. Like,
Yeah.
that's only
Yeah.
really where they do these larger, like broader shots.
I don't really recall anything that kind of blew my mind in terms of cinematography, other than the color. The color was really good.
Yeah, it was very warm. It was,
Yeah.
and like it did what it needed to do to like tell the story. Or sorry, it tell
For
the
sure.
tell the pictures, the moving pictures.
But we got
Yeah.
the
Literally
grittiness
what
of
story.
Jerusalem.
Yeah,
We got that grittiness of that world. It's very, I mean,
very old, very very very.
yeah, it came through.
sand
Like I
desert.
thought that again. Like I thought they were very successful.
Did they shoot in
showing-
Jerusalem?
What's that?
Did they shoot in Jerusalem?
No, they shot in Italy.
Hmm.
It's like the whole cast is basically like Italian. But I thought that the world came through very well, especially when we're seeing him getting dragged through the town. And I know you guys don't talk about costumes or anything, but I think they did a pretty good job of like, highlighting as much of that world with the costumes. We see the bareness of it just with how little these people are actually wearing.
Yeah.
I mean, of the select things that they really nailed home and got, I thought was they really did, at least to me, sell me the world of where it
Yeah.
took place.
For sure. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, like we were watching this, and I was like, I remember asking him, like, I was like, while we were watching it, I'm like, is this really like where this happened? I was like, is this like, I was like, is this the place
It
where
was.
they
It
actually?
was very believable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Even if it
It's
wasn't filmed
close.
there.
You're about
Yeah.
it's the Mediterranean.
yeah. You were in the general architectural area.
True.
Somewhere in that realm.
Yes. In the Bible, they're the exact GPS coordinates of.
They have the
Where
longitude
Jesus
and
was
latitude.
crucified.
They're like, it is right here. They
I
marked it on
just kept
Google Maps.
thinking about the season.
Wait, no, 2 inches to the left.
No, I just remember like Mark and my mom, they were like talking about, my mom was like, this is not what the weather's like here, and like this is not what this is like here. It's like it's more cold, it's more this, or like what was she saying?
Well, she was saying that it depends on the season, but if it's summer in Israel, it's really hot.
Yeah.
It's like insanely hot.
I mean, do we think they showed like I don't really remember anyone sweating too profusely in this film.
Yeah. Like I
No,
remember.
there's more bleeding than sweating, really.
Yeah, I think more drops.
There's more
of-
bleeding than talking.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's true.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, going back to color a bit, it reminded me a lot of 300. Just it almost identical in the like the colors, colored usage.
Yeah.
But in my mind, the cinematography of this movie is probably one of the most redeeming parts of it.
For sure.
You could tell they put a lot of thought into it. There were some great shots.
Yeah. Yeah, it did what it needed to do.
All right. Symbolism and themes is our next question.
Well, that's an
And
easy one.
I'll start here. I could
Yeah.
tell they were kind of trying to go for some like symbolism theme stuff, but I did not get any of it. Like they made it like very obvious that they were trying to like make some symbolism and some themes, like with the devil guy, who I didn't actually know was the devil guy until you guys said it, because they just aren't very clear about it, and they're trying to make these themes, but they only come up like once or twice, so it's not really a theme. It just doesn't work.
Yeah,
They
and
they did a bad job.
I was
with
like, this devil character could have been so powerful if they
Yeah.
utilized it correctly. And
This is she, by the way. A woman played the devil.
okay, so she,
But a woman with like who's a model who's bald, so it's a really interesting choice. And she had a really interesting face, which there's some masculine elements on her face, which is really just cool. It's just like kind of a cool casting.
yeah. But like that doesn't add to the fact that like they could have done it way better, and they could have like made this maybe like a certain motif that really, I mean, it was a motif because it did appear like 3 or 4 times, but it just wasn't, I don't think it was done correctly.
I would argue
Yeah.
that there is like barely any good symbolism or themes in this.
No,
Yeah,
because there's like these
they tried
overarching
a lot,
Bible
but it
stuff,
was
but you
bad.
would have to like you'd have to know the Bible to understand every little,
Yeah.
every little thing
That's
that's supposed
true.
to be a theme or a symbol or something that's supposed to represent something
Well,
else.
I mean, you could. I mean, they kind of. The problem is like when most people are incorporating symbolism and themes into their films, it's most of the time like, oh, we incorporated like literally like the root of all symbolism and themes, which is the Bible or other religious texts. So in
Yeah.
this film, it's kind of like, well, when you show like Jesus eating bread, being like, well, this is my body. It's like,
Yeah, that's
Duh.
straight from the Bible. It's just put into life with movie.
He's
yeah,
like, bro,
yeah.
check out this sourdough I just cooked up. He's like, it is good.
like it's another thing where it's like this just is like kind of like, there's nothing. It's just surface level. There's nothing beyond it.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah,
we should use our
Because they
conscious level
can't
of
really
thinking.
dive too deep into it. Because like, in order to remain like biblically correct, like because they couldn't change too much about the story without people getting mad. They had to just go like from what was solidly known in the Bible, and then like they couldn't really dive deep into the characters too much because like so much is not known about these people because it's like 2,000 years like in the past, so it's just hard to know like what really actually happened without being there.
Right.
I think Mel Gibson should have taken it, that step farther and made it like his interpretation of the story, his vision. That would have
Yeah,
made
I
this a
feel
much
like
better
that would have
movie.
made a good movie.
Yeah.
It's
I don't
just,
think he wanted to do that though.
but that wasn't his goal because he didn't want like people to get mad at him, and that wasn't really the point. Yeah,
I mean, wanting people to get mad at you isn't the reason you should not make the movie you want to make.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted people to get mad at him.
I mean, I kind of feel like he did. It was, I mean, I've glanced at certain portions of the Bible. I haven't like thoroughly looked through it, but in my opinion, the Bible was a much more like positive outlook on things, and this was a more. It was just different. I feel like.
He like Christopher Nolan, the Bat. You know how like Batman got
Yeah,
Christopher Nolan.
yeah.
This is what happened to this movie. If you follow
Yeah.
like the logic I'm using there.
Basically.
he got Mel Gibson.
It got Gibbs. No, I'm just saying, like, you know how like Christopher Nolan makes these Batman, like his Batman trilogy is like a lot more realistic.
Well,
It's-
that's very symbolic. You're talking about symbolism,
yeah.
you know.
And the Bible is Adam West Batman.
Yeah. But I'm saying like Mel Gibson is really actually really talented and good at directing and creating worlds that are very realistic. You know, he's very talented at that. Like if you look at Braveheart, you know, if you guys have seen Braveheart.
Oh, that's a really good one. Also,
Yeah.
kind of violent too.
Yeah, I mean he directed that and he starred in it, and it's really, Braveheart and then Apocalypto was really good, another film that he made. But I mean, like these films are just really, again, because we want to see what like these like medieval Scottish people were like, or these, you know,
Medieval Jews.
no, I forget in Apocalypto, where it takes place somewhere in Central America or something. You know, we kind of, our fictional minds are like, oh yeah, bring us into that world, because we know nothing about this world. And it's like with this, it's like, I think
You
I
know
heard him
so much about it,
Yeah, you know so much about it, and
and then you
Mel
kind of
Gibson's-
judge it.
Yeah, and Mel
Yeah.
Gibson even said, like, he said, I just wanted to do this, and like this felt like the next thing I should do, but you know, maybe it was just a misfire.
And again, it's like really up to people's interpretations. Like, it can be a misfire in one person's eye, and it can be like a really good representation in someone else's eye. Like for Luke here, like we know he doesn't like it. He didn't feel like it told the right thing, and it was trying to go for the right thing, which is fine. That's, you know, no one can like everything.
But here's the
Yeah.
other crazy thing: is we're talking about this movie like it flopped, and it didn't flop. It made $612 million.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry to tell you this, but The Force Awakens made $2 billion.
Oh
Globally.
gosh.
Globally, it made $2 billion.
Oh my gosh.
No.
The Last Jedi made
Two.
it made about Last Jedi, it made 1.3 billion,
Yeah.
and the Rise of Shitwalkers made
Skywalker.
I guess 1.5.
1 billion.
Okay, so yeah, they progressively made less money.
Yeah.
But adjust for inflation, $612 million.
From 2004.
Yeah.
Let's see that. So 2004.
Yeah, I mean, the
I just
Bible is
don't
the biggest franchise of all, right?
Yeah.
that should overshadow Star Wars.
Best-selling
Yeah.
book. I
It's
mean,
probably got the most copies ever sold.
no, it actually is the best-selling.
almost
Okay, so he made about
$1 billion.
$1 billion.
So he did just as good as the Rise of Skywalker. But
Think
the,
about that.
yeah, but keep in mind, Star Wars is a big universe, and people are gonna watch it.
Peepers.
They're gonna watch it regardless. You know what I mean?
It's
Like, I
not a
knew
big
going into that
universe
movie it was gonna
anymore since
suck.
Disney took over.
Like, I mean, did you guys go into Rise of Skywalker knowing it was gonna suck, but you're like, I have to watch it still?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all
Basically.
paid the mouse the money.
We all paid the Disney trap.
Anyways, I'm just saying that it's kind of that rare movie that, you know, we clearly have identified that it's got a lot of problems, but it's not like it failed financially,
Exactly.
which is how a
Yeah.
lot of movies basically are, basically how a lot of people's careers are like either made or destroyed. It's like if your movie does well financially, like, you can get away with murder.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
that what you did?
Yeah.
I feel like
What?
Murder?
potential reason for it succeeding in that could have been. It seems to be kind of a polarizing, and like you either really love it or you just, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I'm sure it seems like the type of movie that there's like a group of people that just absolutely love this, and I mean that's fine, but I'm just not one of those people.
Yeah, and like we were saying, it's totally okay to dislike something. I mean, unless you're in 2020 America where you have to like everyone and include everything. So,
Yeah.
Luke, sorry, bud, we're gonna cancel you because you don't like this movie.
Yeah.
Cancel.
Yeah, you're canceled.
Canceled.
Bye, Luke.
Canceled. Uh-oh.
Have a nice life.
Wait, Adam? Wait, you gotta move this on, dude. What's his next one? This one's making me laugh.
Yeah, next question. What brain injury did Mel Gibson sustain that made him want to make this movie?
Could have been. I was reading into if you damage your frontal lobe, you lose a lot of judgment skills. So
Brain injury?
yeah, what brain injury
it
did Mel Gibson
Did
sustain?
a good job in the box office, like
So
Mark said.
Maybe
I
he
mean-
just broke his like temporal lobe. Maybe he couldn't hear out of his right ear or something.
It's just, I mean, we've talked about this a lot already, but it's, assuming everything goes right, it's just such a niche crowd that you're trying to like sell your movie to. Like, not
I
it's niche
disagree with
crowd,
that. I disagree with that.
Adam,
because
there's 2 billion Christians on this earth.
since
case
this
scenario.
movie has
Worst case
subtitles,
scenario, everyone gets really mad at you and says it's not Christian enough or whatever, and your movie makes no money at all.
But it
No,
did
but
make
if you
like
think about it,
60.
like Adam, if you think about it, Christianity has like over I think
2
is it
billion,
like
over 2 billion.
billions of people are Christian. So if you think about that, if you get like even 10% of the Christian religion to watch this movie, you've got 200 million people going to pay tickets to watch this movie.
That's true,
Because
but how many
you've got
people
a
really
huge
want to
audience
watch
to
a
work
Bible
with.
movie? How many Christian people want to watch a Bible movie?
A lot of them probably. That's probably why he made it. You're not gonna go in and be like, I'm gonna make a movie about I'm gonna make a movie about like mouse pads. Like there's a lot of people who like mouse pads, or like there's a mouse pad culture. Maybe mouse pads will show up and watch my film.
Well, I mean, it depends on what part of the world this movie comes out in, and if there's parts or even parts of the United States, like I'm guessing that when this movie came out in like, oh, I don't know, Texas. I mean, I'm sure this movie was a hit in Texas. I mean, you know how religious Texas
Yeah.
is? I'm sure people went to see this movie in droves, you know, like
Exactly.
massive
It's
groups
all
of
about the
people.
target audience with this movie. Like
Yeah,
it
Maybe
found
I'm
the people it needed, and it made a bunch of money.
maybe I'm just used to the world 15 years after this movie was released. But
Yeah, you have to remember this movie was
I
released
feel like making a
before
movie like
social
this
media.
is not a good idea.
It's like if this movie was released now, not a good idea
Yeah.
to release this
Yeah,
movie now.
it'd be trending
Culture has
hashtag on
changed
Twitter.
so
Last time I
much
checked-
since
Stop
then.
Passion of Christ.
Last time I checked, you can't get canceled on MySpace, right?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think so. Is that still active?
Probably. You should go check.
Somebody needs to make a MySpace documentary.
Well, I think our consensus is Mel Gibson didn't actually have any brain lacerations or injuries. It was mostly Jesus in this one that probably sustained the most injury, I think.
True, true.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
All right,
even-
so-
yeah.
Here's a question for the Bible gang. How was this accurate to the Bible?
Well, I'm Torah gang, so I mean I should talk. No.
All right.
Go ahead, Bible.
I mean,
keepers.
it was such a small segment. It was like super zoomed in, and it would have been nice to have more of the more of the broad story, because it's a good story. I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
Luke, you want them to cover the whole Bible in like, or like
No,
even just the
no,
New
just-
Testament in like 3 hours? Like,
No, I mean, more of just the events leading up to this, crucifixion and stuff. We mainly just got to see Jesus getting whipped, and I just didn't really enjoy that. It would have just been nice to have. It would have been more meaningful. It would have hit harder if you've had the.
Pun intended, would have hit harder.
Sorry.
I mean,
All right.
I feel like in terms of this question, it's hard to tell because, like I've probably said this a bunch of times, like there's a bunch of different interpretations of the Bible. You can interpret it any way you want, and well, not really anyway, but like
Yeah. Anyway.
you can interpret it a lot of different ways. And really, this is one of the main stories. This has obviously like been debated a bunch, but like really it's the director, I already forgot his name.
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
Mel
Daddy Mel.
Gibson.
Melly Gibbs.
He chose to interpret this movie in a certain way, and he kept like the main stuff like definitely significant, but like accurate. I meant, yeah. Like it's definitely accurate, but it's hard to, you can't get anything perfectly accurate.
No, and we don't even know if the Bible's accurate, which is we don't know if what happened in the Bible even
It's
really
a
occurred.
religious text.
Yeah, things are
It
exaggerated,
happened.
things are placed in to
it's-
fill in gaps.
That's true, yeah.
Because no one was I mean, obviously, no one who was alive was there to witness these events. Was Jesus crucified? Maybe.
Yeah.
Now, do we think Jesus was whipped this hard? Probably
We don't know.
not.
That's part of the movie making.
That's
Yeah.
it's part of the magic. That's part of the sugar and the
The
spice.
movie magic, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have to think about that. Like we
So
keep talking
magical.
about this, but you have to think about how you're going to handle that. You have to think about how are you going to present that in a movie.
Which is hard to do.
Yeah.
Nice.
The next question is why are Middle Eastern people white?
I'm taking
Yeah. So like technically, this took place in the Middle East.
Good.
If you're going on like
Yeah.
what actually that people actually should
Yes,
look
no.
like, they wouldn't be white, right?
Well, I guess that's just the casting. That's just down to the casting.
Yeah, it's just interesting. All right, I won't ask that question. I'll
I don't think we.
Wait, but
Yeah, I don't-
I have an easy answer to this. This was filmed in Italy, so people maybe aren't necessarily white, but I mean, you're asking like why is Jim Caviezel like why didn't they like quote unquote hire like a more like Middle Eastern actor to play like Jesus,
Yeah.
or like somebody who looks like they're from Israel, or like
Like
Israeli or something.
actual people from the area. Is that what you mean, Adam?
That's what you're
Yeah.
talking about, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, again, like, whole can of beans with this, but like, to some degree, I'm like, it doesn't really like
Matter.
I mean, to
Yeah.
me, I didn't watch it being like, well, God, this lashing would be so much better if Jesus was Israeli.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think it mattered that much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Alright.
know. I think it's just a casting thing, and when you shoot in another country, I mean, aside from like Jim Caviezel, clearly it's like, you have to kind of deal with like whatever cast you have in that country. But I don't know. I don't really care. It's a religious text. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's like, isn't Jesus like isn't there Korean Jesus and there's black Jesus and
Yeah.
Jesus.
There's no pictures in the Bible, so we don't know.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
Bible actually happened under the sea.
under the sea?
Yes.
Under the.
Under the sea.
All of the locations they referenced they also exist under the sea, and they're at 1/10 scale.
I think it's just like who met again, it's like we're watching a movie that it's a movie, and then again we're watching a story that's been adapted from a religious text. It's like the whole point of these texts is that you apply it in your own culture, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So who cares, in my opinion? That didn't take me out of the movie. Like, I'm not sitting there being
Yeah,
like,
no.
again, it's like, okay, if we're doing a movie about like, I don't know, slaves in the South, and you have like, I don't know, like Korean people playing slaves in the South, obviously it doesn't make sense. If we're doing like a
It
a
made
slavery
enough
biopic.
sense. Yeah, you didn't need it in this movie.
Yeah.
Really. It was fine how it was. Yeah.
But Passion of Christ Resurrection, the rumored upcoming sequel, which
It's not
the actor who
That's
plays
been
Jesus-
rumored about forever. Yeah.
the actor who played Jesus said that Mel Gibson himself contacted him saying if he wanted to make the movie, and he said yes. He said he'd be very interested. So would I see this movie? honestly, yes. This was quite the
Yeah.
journey, and I
would
hated
totally
it.
watch it. Yeah.
Like this movie was unbearable. I don't think it was. I disliked it, so I am gonna give it a sub 5 rating. Spoiler alert! But like, I didn't hate this movie. I just, it's just not for me. But I do think that it was made well, and it was an interesting experience. And I
For
honestly,
sure.
I wouldn't mind experiencing it again. It was
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, just give it another shot.
What does Luke think?
Well, obviously, look, because if there's gonna be, if it's the resurrection, there's gonna be practically, I think there would
It's
be
a different
no reason,
story.
there would be no
there
reason to
won't
put
be,
blood.
there won't
in
be
it.
limits.
It sounds like it would be a more maybe inspiring film, and I think I'd be down to watch it, to at least give it a chance.
Luke, we're losing.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you hear any of that?
Yeah,
Half
we
of it,
yeah, last.
but we got the idea.
Yeah, we got the idea.
We got the idea.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely be down to like see the resurrection. I mean, obviously this was like a huge low point in terms of like the Bible. This is like one of the most like depressing or like horrifying scenes in like the Bible. So obviously this is definitely not one of your like really happy movies that like everything like happens and it's really happy. But like the or like after he's resurrected, like without getting into it too much, it gets better.
Yeah.
Like it's
mean,
not gonna be like
Oh,
this.
spoilers for the Bible in case you haven't read it.
Yeah, yeah.
It
I don't want to
came
spoil
out,
too much, you
just a
know,
while
just in
ago.
case you're halfway through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
I think a couple thousand years is enough to you know have to warn spoilers. It was pretty recent.
Yeah. Like 2,000 years. I think we've got 2,000 years to like read the Bible, and I think most people have if they're Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. The spoiler alert. Like you've had 2,000 years to read this. It's actually really
Yeah.
funny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would watch it. I'd watch the sequel.
Yeah, same. Like I
Yeah.
mean, it's first one wasn't awful. It's just you
It
know you
wasn't,
have
yeah.
to be special to like know every little
To
bit.
really
and
grasp
interpret
the
it.
plot and
Yeah.
get the most out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
priests and pastors all around, but you know we're not smart enough to understand
Or from that, no.
Mequan. But yeah. Well, Adam, lead us
Yeah.
into the last one,
Yes.
my dude.
So now on to the rating finale. What would Mark? We do 1 to 10 here, or 0 to 10, but there are 0.5s allowed if you want to get spicy.
So like just for like kind of like how to like grasp where you're gonna put this on point scale. For us, at least me and Adam, I think we said Interstellar would be a 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 10 is not like it's perfect in a way, but it's like has to be a really good movie.
Yeah, I thought it is.
Mhm.
I think honestly, I think for me, this is a solid 6, because it's just above average. I think that for me, that's like if 10 is right, because a 5 is like in between. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean like still for us like a 7 or an 8 is still like a pretty good film.
Yeah.
So
It's an above average. That's an above average experience.
yeah.
This to me is like, you know, honestly, it's like a 5.5 to really break it down, because it's just like, it's honestly like it's basically like one step away from being a total dumpster fire movie. Like that's essentially.
The ship has so many holes in it, but it's still managing to stay
Yeah, like
afloat.
it's basically kind of like that. I mean, there's like, again, it's like the realism of this world kind of like acted against itself, but it's also the thing which makes the cinematography come out. But yeah, just basically, I think to me, just kind of floating, you know, floating just above water. So 5.5.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of in that same realm there. Like, to me, like, obviously I know this movie could not have done with the, like, English dialogue. It wouldn't have worked. Obviously I know
Yeah.
that. But, like, I felt so disconnected with this movie. It's just like, I'm gonna give it just a right smack dab in the middle. I'm gonna say it's a 5. Like, I just could not connect with this movie. Like, I just did not understand. And I mean, I get it. Obviously, I'm not a Christian person. I don't fully grasp the idea and where this fits in Jesus's life. You know, like, and exactly what this really means. So that's why I'm gonna give it a 5. I know for someone else who's really into religion and really knows what they're talking about, they'll say like, yeah, I really get this. I'll give this a higher score. But for me, 5. Luke, what did you think? I feel like this is kind of like this is the one we've been waiting for.
Here we go.
This was well below average. I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 10.
Why is that?
Ooh.
I think I've kind of explained it throughout. I mean, it's just I just couldn't connect with it. This didn't inspire me to be a better person. It didn't make me feel closer to my religion. It just almost just drew me away from, like, it was rather uninteresting, but at the same time it had this unnecessary, just insane amount of gore, and it was like to the point of where it was just unnerving at some points, and I really don't get the intentions. I don't understand the true intentions behind this movie, so
Sure, that's a good point. We don't really know what the true intentions behind this movie are.
I guess
Yeah,
Mel Gibson
yeah.
was just so unbelievably drunk while making this.
Yeah.
He was just like, bro, throw everything at him. He's like, more.
He did have a problem with alcohol.
He needs to fall down one more time so we can really drive this home.
I mean, if
Yeah,
I
so
ever
I'm
met
going
him,
with
I'd
a
want to talk to him
2
about
out of
this
10.
film.
Yeah, 2 out of 10 for
How about you, Nick?
Okay, I'm gonna like completely disagree with Luke. I'd probably give this movie like a 6 or a 6.5, just because I was really like, I knew this story well. I could really like not understand obviously what he's going through, because I mean, I could never imagine that happening to me, but it made me like feel closer in like my religion, because it really like, I know like real deep talk here, but like it made me feel like connected in my religion, not through all like the torture and all the gory stuff. It just kind of like reaffirms your beliefs as a Christian. Like, bro, that's just crazy. And yeah, so 6.5 for me. I didn't think it was over the top gory. I didn't like feel terrible about seeing that. So, Mark, did you give your? Oh wait,
Yeah, who was the first one?
yeah,
The first
Mark
one.
already
It's
did.
Adam.
Mark
It's
already
Adam.
did. How
Yes.
about Adam? Yeah.
So I have quite a bit to say. This movie feels like the climax, the grand finale, but it's the finale of nothing. It seems like there's a lot of it's a lot to handle. This movie has the makings of a very good movie. It has great cinematography, great visual effects, great acting, but it just fails in everything else. If you showed me like a still shot of this movie, I would be like, that looks like a good movie, I want to watch that. But when you talk about pacing and plot structure, it's bad, and the characters are just bad. And the story, because it could be half an hour of a well-paced movie, it is just bad. So I have to give this one a negative rating. I'm not going to give it too bad of a rating, because I see why people would like it. I definitely see why people could really enjoy this movie. It's just not for me. So, I have to bump it down a little bit. I'm gonna give it a 4. I didn't absolutely hate it, and like I said earlier, I'd be open to watching a sequel. It's just not my kind of movie, but it is a well-made movie in some aspects.
And that I feel like
Well
we can all
said.
agree on. Well said.
Well
Well
said.
said.
So
Yeah,
we're
I
having
thought
a
about
watch
that one
party
for, like,
for the
an hour.
sequel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when it comes out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're all just gonna go to church. We're gonna go Lumen Christi, guys, and we're just gonna be like, we're all just gonna prepare. And and guess where that leads us to? I think we've got all our thoughts and opinions about this movie out. I feel like everyone has said what they wanted to say, and that leads us to this beautiful ending, in which this movie actually achieves. Jesus is God now. I think that's how the Bible works. Jesus is at peace, in which we are now. And that leads us to, our outro. So if you guys couldn't catch, we obviously watched The Passion of the Christ, directed by the literal greatest director in the world, Mel Gibson. He's a visionary. This is all sarcasm. He's a visionary. He just makes the most beautiful films ever. So, we're all gonna say goodnight to you now, and thank you for watching. And we're gonna stay.
We're watching next week.
And what are we? We're gonna be watching
Yeah, what are you guys watching next week?
The Godfather with our friend Isaac, and
Oh, well, what a turnaround.
You guys remember Isaac?
Classic movie.
the classic campy movie Isaac, guys. So yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing next week.
Campy counter.
Campy
maybe.
counter. So we're gonna all say goodnight to you now, and we'll catch you next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.